Hello, and welcome to the latest edition of the Pinfall. Today, we will be discussing War Games. Joining me today is Barnsey and Jordan. How you doing, lads?
Yeah, all good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, all good, all good. Enjoyed War Games?
Yeah,
it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I thought it was decent.
Yeah, I thought it was really good, actually. We're going to talk about all the matches on the card. It went down on the 6th of December, and the first match was the women's War Games match, which was Team LeRae, which consisted of Raquel González, Dakota Kai, Toni Storm, and Candice LeRae. They defeated Team Shotzi, which had Shotzi Blackheart, Rhea Ripley, Io Shirai, and Ember Moon. I thought this was a really, really good match. Sometimes in War Game matches, I think sometimes it takes a while to get going. Sometimes it only really sort of kicks off when all the competitors are sort of in the cage. But I thought this one was really, really good. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I'm happy to start on the pod this week, opening this one up. And for me, I'll go early with it. I think this was match of the night. I absolutely love this match from start to finish. I loved all the rivalries and the way the match developed. And I especially loved that Raquel González was the one who got the pinfall over Io Shirai. And I'm hoping that now she's going to get an opportunity to fight for the NXT Women's title. We've seen a lot of the other competitors in the match, fight Io in recent times. And I think it'd be nice to have a fresh challenge. And I think Raquel González deserves it now. I think this was like her coming of age moment. She's sort of stepping away from that Dakota Kai sort of insurance policy. And the matches she's been having with Rhea Ripley at the last Takeover, she's really up to the game, and I'm delighted for her. And just like the spots in the match, obviously the highlight of the match was probably Io Shirai jumping off the top of the cage with a
trash can.
Yeah, she had the trash can on her head, and wow, what a spot! I mean, I wouldn't want to jump off the top of a cage at the best of times, but not being able to see where I'm going, and yeah, incredible. So yeah, what about you, George? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we got a question why the bin went over their head to start with while you're up there. She could have used that any other way. She could have dropped it first, but no, just go with it. It was, for me as well, a great match. They really went high on the heels in this. I always find it's difficult for War Games when the faces get the advantage because they sort of have to not look heelish whilst having the advantage. So for me, it was sort of a slowish start where they don't want to just keep ganging up until the next heel comes in. But then when all were in there, it was it was quality. And big statement for Raquel González pinning Io. I imagine that sets up the next feud for Io, and it will be quite good the different styles of wrestling they bring. Io with the sort of high flying, and Raquel with the sort of bruiserweight. So thought it was quite a quiet match for Rhea and Toni Storm. I expected a bit more from both of them, but I guess they're going to push some other stars and keep them on the back burner, maybe have a feud for them too down the line. But NXT Women's looking strong.
Yeah, really, really good. I mean, the MVP of the match surely has to be González. Was there anyone else who you thought did stand out apart from her?
I mean, there was a couple of really good spots. I love the Ember Moon eclipse onto the chairs mid-match onto Dakota Kai, so she took a couple of big hits. I also like the Kai stomp off the top rope where Io was in the trash can and she got sort of stuck momentarily. They were trying to get it off her. But in terms of the match, I just thought Raquel González was sort of the main star. And maybe Dakota Kai, actually, just because she was, like you say, in there on her own at the start and had to hold her own against Ember Moon, and then when Shotzi Blackheart come in. But I like the way that they were, bringing in weapons into the ring. It was just really sort of a diverse match. It was interesting, that Toni Storm obviously done the heel turn on Ember Moon going into the match. I just didn't see that coming in the build-up to the match. And I thought it was interesting that, the role that she played in the match. But overall, I was just delighted that González got the win. And, it started the night off on such a high.
It's surprising as well when these sort of matches that the champion does take the pin. Normally they do pass that on to someone else, but yeah, I like it. I like the champion took the pin. It really does set the benchmarker for what they expect from Raquel going forward.
Yeah, good stuff. The next match on the card, we saw Tommaso Ciampa defeat Timothy Thatcher. This was actually surprisingly really good match. It wasn't one I was sort of marked down. I was one looking forward to, but I thought it was really, really good. Went on quite well, but I thought it was really good. Thatcher with his bloody ear, that looked horrible. But did you guys enjoy it too?
Yeah, I
this
think.
is.
Go
Go on.
No, you go first.
I was just going to say, yeah, I love this match as well. It's my style of match, just nice, sort of stiff and hard and pure wrestling. The bloody ear definitely added to the occasion, and yeah, just a good, solid match. Is what NXT do really well is they can have a match like this, have a clean win, and no one seems affected by it. I think giving Ciampa the win was big. It sort of puts him back at the top, and it feels like a big win against Thatcher. And with Thatcher, I mean, he can just sort of turn this around and go into another feud and win that, and sort of cement himself as that sort of high mid-carder for now. But big win for Ciampa, I thought. Hopefully it gets him back near the top of the card.
Yeah, I actually love Timothy Thatcher in this match, and I agree that it doesn't matter that he's lost clean, because it was just such a battle from start to finish, and that he doesn't look weak from losing. Like, obviously in the build-up to the match, he tapped out to Kushida to obviously get the attention of Ciampa and start the feud, and then last week on NXT, Ciampa got choked out by Timothy Thatcher. So going into the match, they'd both sort of been on the back foot in the build-up, and then in the match, when Ciampa wins with a Willow's bell at the end, like after such a brutal and tense battle, it was like, I think it was roughly about a 15-minute match or something, but it felt long because the punishment they were inflicting on one another. Just like a crazy battle. But yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it's good because obviously in the first match you've got loads of high flying, there's loads of like real good spots, and then you've got a traditional old school throwback wrestling match, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
The next match was Dexter Lumis defeating Cameron Grimes in a strap match. What did you guys think of this one?
I mean, it was sort of it was a nice way to end the feud, having it on a pay-per-view, but yeah, I mean, no real surprise with this match. It seems like Lumis's speciality match is going to be this strap match because everyone keeps trying to escape him, and it's a way to keep them near him. So no surprise for me. I think Cameron Grimes looked like he was on his way up, but is he becoming a bit more of a comedy sort of character? I hope not, because he is a good wrestler, and he's definitely worth more than that. But yeah, I mean, there was no real addition to this match. It was sort of almost slapped there just to bulk out the card a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes I think like when styles make matches, and having Cameron Grimes, who's already quite an eccentric character, and then you're adding that comedy factor to it, it doesn't always work. And for me, I didn't really have any interest going into the match. I think the match was actually not too bad considering what I thought it was going to be. Actually, I think delivered more than I expected. But yeah, by the end of it, I was sort of glad that the match was over in a way, and that hopefully they can just both move on to different feuds.
Yeah, touching on what George said, I do agree. I think Cameron Grimes is a really good wrestler, but I think he's got such a horrible gimmick. I think they could do so much more of him because he is, like you said, a really, really good wrestler. Out of these two, what do you think would be next for these two?
I imagine Lumis goes up the card a little bit. I think before his injury, he was quite high on their radar, so I imagine he's just sort of slowly working his way back up. Again, similar to Grimes, is he going to get caught in this sort of character where he's just going to have these other characters running scared from him, and then he's going to have them in a strap match? Hopefully he doesn't get caught in that sort of web, and I'd quite like to see him go for the North American title or being in and around that picture.
Yeah, I think both of them are at the North American title sort of level, aren't they? Like, they can have good matches with, loads of wrestlers on the card. I mean, when you think of all the talent on the roster, there is plenty of potential for them to have feuds with. Like, you could continue to build Kushida. He's been on a pretty decent run recently. Or just get him in that title picture. That's all I've got to say.
Cool. Well, speaking of the North American Championship, that was the next match on the card. And we have a new champion. It's Johnny Gargano. He defeated the champion Leon Ruff and Damian Priest in a triple threat match with the assist from the Ghostface, which turned out to be Austin Theory. Again, I do like triple threat matches. I thought this one was a really good one, actually. I thought it was a good match. What do you guys think?
It was a solid match. It was okay. I'm happy that Gargano's come out and now he's the 3-time NXT North American champion. And I've been really, I really do like Damian Priest, but I think in the build up to this, he's been caught up in that, I don't want to hurt Leon Ruff sort of, but then I want to really beat the crap out of Johnny Gargano, and I just don't think that it really suits his character. I think in the last few takeovers and pay-per-views, he's really elevated himself to one of the big stars in NXT, and this sort of has put a little bit of a halt to that for me. So I'm hoping after this now, Leon Ruff sort of lost the belt, he's going to move on and, maybe if we get a Gargano Priest feud going forward, I'll be up for that. But just, I didn't really like the camaraderie between the three of them, really. And yeah, just I'm quite happy that Gargano is now the champ again. It feels like a proper, the North American title for me is like the Intercontinental title or the US title on Raw and SmackDown. You need someone credible holding the belt. So I'm glad that Leon Ruff's only had sort of a month there, and I don't know, even the sketch with Kevin Owens on the Kevin Owens show when he was on NXT a couple of weeks ago, it was just like, you've got to believe in yourself and convince people, and he was sort of saying that there's so many people in the back that deserve to hold this belt, and I'm just happy Gargano's the champion again.
I could feel as you were talking more and more about this match, you were getting into that mood of just sort of slating it, which is quite good because that then allows me to do it because, I think the North American title this last month has been awful. I don't see the point of Ruff. He's sort of been brought in again as this comedy character, and he's been kept in for the triple threat match to take the loss, essentially. And then all of a sudden we've got these scream masks about from the Halloween Havoc, and now they're back like a month later, and it's just been like, what was the point of all the middle part? And I actually think it's been one of the things that sort of NXT's gone really off on since they've moved over to being on actual TV, and that is just, this belt was never hot potatoed around, and now Johnny Gargano in a month's gone from a 1-time to a 2-time to a 3-time champ. And I think it just kills the prestige a little bit. It's like the US title on Raw. You keep throwing it around, and this title had a lot more prestige than that before all this month. And just not being a fan of it. I never wanted Priest to lose it in the start, and then just everything that's happened in between has just been not needed for me. They could have just carried on with the scream mask and culminated it at this takeover. But just hopefully it goes back to how it used to be, and I think NXT really needs to get back to where they were with that, because at the moment I just think they're so worried about the competition that they lost sight of what they do so well. And if they keep jumping this belt around wrestlers, it will just diminish the whole title.
Yeah, I think Leon Ruff will probably end up going into sort of the cruiserweight sort of level. I think, like I said, it was a bit of a shame they made him out to be such a joke, really, and almost like not a credible champion. So I think he did it right in the match. I thought the match was okay. I just think how the storyline going into it wasn't great.
Yeah, I agree. In the match, he was really good, and then you got this whole sort of promo package before the match, making him like this big underdog, and you think, well, you've kept him around. Why not just let him retain and have this like amazing feel-good story? And then that was just canned, and it's sort of my mind watching it was tossing and turning between like, what is the point of him? Oh no, this is a good underdog story. And then and then it just means nothing really now. And I can't imagine he's going to be sticking around the title picture any longer. And I imagine he'd be off to 205 or wherever.
One thing I did really like about the match, though, was Priest when he went after the masked men. He just went mental for a couple of minutes, and he sort of done the flip over the top rope onto 3 of them, and then he come off the other side and dived out the ring onto the others, and it did feel like really energetic, and you were like, go on, Priest. And then obviously, I was hoping that him or Gargano were going to win, just so Leon Ruff basically wasn't the champion anymore. But I think we've said it before, Gargano being the champ, I'm all in for.
Yeah, same. I love Gargano. Really like his storyline with Candice as well. The Ghostface was Austin Theory. What did you think of that reveal? Are you happy that he's sort of back in the frame, in the picture, or was you expecting more?
For me, I'm just not a big Austin Theory fan. I think it's because I didn't really see him before he come up to the main roster. And he was when he come up, he was put with Andrade and Garza, and I don't know. He's never really won me over. I'm never like, oh my god, it's Austin Theory. So for me, it was a little bit deflating because it could have been anyone. They could have given someone a real big opportunity here, and for me, I'm just not convinced he's the one that sells it.
Yeah, I mean, he's still really young, so it's all just good, sort of getting your reps in, as they say. Good practice. It's good for him to be around Gargano, who's such a veteran now of the business. So, I mean, I'm not too displeased. I quite like the Garganos and how they've both got their sort of like little sidekicks, and it's sort of the family's almost growing a little bit. I quite like that aspect. So, I mean, like you guys, Gargano as champ is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah, I think it's got to be such a crazy year for Austin Theory. He's been in WrestleMania. He's been in a couple of different groups, and now he's back on NXT with Gargano. So let's see what the year brings for him. The last match on the card, the main event, was the Undisputed Era defeating Team McAfee in another War Games match. Really good. Obviously, they had McAfee, Danny Burch, Oney Lorcan, and Pete Dunne. I thought this was another really good match. Started off with Dunne and O'Reilly. Really, really good. Enjoyed the whole match. McAfee's cage dive was not what I was expecting from him. But yeah, excellent. Especially when all 8 were in the ring, I thought it really, really, really kicked off.
Yeah, as you mentioned, go on. I was going to say, as you mentioned, Wilbs, when they started with O'Reilly and Pete Dunne, it just carried on from their epic main event match from a couple of weeks ago, where the advantage went with Pete Dunne. I love that match and just the storyline behind it, and I like the whole advantage thing. And like Jordan said earlier in the first War Games match, it really did suit the heel team having the advantage first in this match. It just built and built and built, and obviously at the end we got Adam Cole and Pat McAfee, and when they got in the ring, I don't know about you guys, but Pat McAfee is just money, absolute money. I love that guy. I think since he's come into NXT, he's just been amazing. I'm not the biggest fans of Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch, but even he's convincing me that they're like stars of the show now. He's just great on the mic. He's proven every time he gets in the ring he's good. He sells the moves. He takes all the big moves. Like you say, he done the dive off the cage. He got hit with a Panama Sunrise from Adam Cole. I'm just not sure there's anything he can't do. He was doing moonsaults through tables. Just what a star. Like, I think he's the first, what they say, he's the first man to make $1 million in 7 different industries, and unreal.
Yeah, this was my match of the night, and well deserved to be the main event. I just think the whole feud, it really hit the boiling point, and just a good overall match. And like you say with Pat McAfee, he's sort of been brought into NXT because of his, he's a big star on YouTube with his show. He's come from the NFL, and he sort of brings this sort of celebrity status with him, but you would never ever think he's bringing that, because he is so good as a wrestler first, then being the celebrity second. He is just top draw on the mic leading up to it, and then in the ring he's just so committed to any of it. And we shouldn't really be surprised as sort of an NFL player. I can imagine the competitiveness of him is just through the roof, and practicing he must just be giving it his absolute all. And that swanton from the top of the cage, which was hit so perfectly, but no one caught him.
Yeah.
He just landed square on his back. But yeah, he just brings so much to it. I loved all the tables with their names on it, and the arrogance he brought when they had like the man advantage. Yeah, just top draw. And for the Undisputed Era, it seemed again a bit of a changing of the guard at the top, with O'Reilly taking the win. And sort of there was a point where he faced off with McAfee as well, and it just feels like as he's slowly edging that way to be this big face leader of Undisputed Era. I guess that question's always going to loom over Adam Cole whenever a takeover comes and goes. But again, it just felt like quite a subtle way to show O'Reilly really taking the forefront of the Undisputed Era. And then probably just as a Brit, it's just so good to see Pete Dunne back in the main event on NXT, because he is top draw, and glad he's back over in America. And yeah, I would love to see him around the NXT title as well.
Yeah, I think McAfee just makes everything look so easy. You never think that was his second match. I think it's his second match, or definitely second takeover. On this match, who was your MVP?
McAfee, I think.
Yeah.
For me personally, I don't know if I'm making it clear, but I just love the guy. And one thing it made me think was that this how they built this feud, the Undisputed Era against what they called the Kings of whatever McAfee calls them. This is how Retribution against Hurt
Business
should have been built on Raw. Like, build the feud, make it happen. You genuinely think that 8 of them absolutely hate each other, want to tear each other apart. It was built so well, and then the match, like we've discussed, lived up to the hype. And yeah, and just in terms of the MVP of the match, I'd probably have to say McAfee, just because of the spots he was involved in. I mean, I said he took the Panama Sunrise from Adam Cole. He bloody kicked out of it. I know he ended up taking the pinfall to O'Reilly, but I don't think that hurts the performance that he put in. And yeah, I just want to see him in the ring more and more.
I think with him as well, all of it is just great. Even like every time they had another sort of entrance into the ring, it would always look like he's about to step out, and then they were like, no, like he was like, oh yeah, I'll go do it. And of course he was going to be left to last. He's just, like you say, just top draw. It was weird he did kick out the Panama Sunrise. I don't think you need to protect Pat McAfee that much over a finisher, especially Adam Cole's finisher. But yeah, I am in total agreement with you. He is just absolute class. I think Wade Barrett called him on commentary the ability of Seth Rollins and the hateability of The Miz. He's probably not as good as Seth, but when he's in the ring, he riles people up as much as The Miz probably does. And if you ever want to see some of McAfee's promo work pre-WWE, 2018 NFL draft, when he rolls into Tennessee as an ex-Indianapolis Colts player, it's just quality. And he has this whole auditorium booing him. It's just great.
Oh, that sounds good.
One last thing then on this match. So we mentioned about Kyle O'Reilly sort of getting the win and maybe looking like he could be a potential leader of Undisputed Era. How would you like to see this unfold? Would you like to see the whole Undisputed Era sort of stay together and get called up? Would you rather sort of see Adam Cole go up on his own and O'Reilly stay and become the leader?
What I like is that there's options now. Before it was like, right, we just want Undisputed Era to go up and then go up as a collective. But now, say like Adam Cole was to go up and win the Royal Rumble, or whatever happens, you'd feel that the Undisputed Era would still be able to stay intact because O'Reilly would be the new leader. So Yeah, personally, I'd like them all to go up as a faction. I think once you've given as much time as you have to the brand, you all deserve that shot on the main roster. But then, in the thought in the back of your mind is how many people and stars in NXT that they build go up to the main roster and just get lost. I don't think that would be the case with Adam Cole and probably Kyle O'Reilly now, but Roddy Strong and Bobby Fish might get swallowed up fairly quickly if they were to ever like separate the Undisputed Era. So I think let them go up together, give them a shot.
I think after the O'Reilly Balor takeover match, I imagined the NXT backroom are probably licking their lips at the sort of feuds O'Reilly could have down there, and why not throw Adam Cole in that mix? They probably get comparisons to DX quite a lot, but why not have them split, have a feud, sort of Michaels HBK style, and then you can always return to the Undisputed later down the line, reunited, back up on the main roster. I don't think it can hurt too much to have both, especially the way WWE use NXT almost like a sort of developmental brand. It would be like they could have their feud and takeovers and whatnot, and then you could almost just bring them all up together anyway, because the main roster doesn't really take too much of NXT into account unless sort of Survivor Series are around the corner. So, a Cole O'Reilly feud would be... to watch him implode would be great, and then to watch him come back, I think, would be great as well. I think that would really get a big pop.
Yeah, I think if any call-up's going to get a massive pop when crowds come back, it's going to be the Undisputed Era. So hopefully we see it soon. The last thing to sort of note on the card was we saw a promo package, which would indicate that Karrion Kross is close to returning. And when he does return, I guess he's going straight to the top to face Finn Balor. What a match that will be.
Yeah, we're already licking my lips at the prospect of that one. Obviously, Karrion Kross, when he left, was, he was feuding with Keith Lee and won the NXT title and then relinquished the next night. But yeah, we already saw the promos that he can cut and his in-ring work, so I think once he's built up that sort of status in NXT, the only way and the only place he can return to the card is at the very top. And obviously Balor wasn't involved in War Games as he recovers from his own injuries himself, the broken jaw. So yeah, I can see them two going at it potentially at this New Year's Eve, or maybe if the return is going to be that soon. But yeah, we'll see. I can't see him returning any other place but right at the top and being Balor's next adversary for the title.
Yeah, like the start of this pod, we're discussing on the women's how Raquel with the big pin is probably the next sort of challenger to EO. Not having Balor in the main event, sort of, it leaves it open just for Karrion just to slot back in there. And depending on how Finn's health is, I believe he returned just before War Games. So, like you just said, Matt, I think he'll just return back at the top. Hoping he gets the belt back that he didn't ever lose, and we get the Karrion Kross era back, because them two before him and Scarlett before his injury were just top class. They were probably one of our favourite things in all of WWE, so I'm just so looking forward to them coming back.
Yeah, I think NXT have been a bit unlucky this year with some of the injuries they've had, and obviously everyone's been affected by COVID, but yeah, I think hopefully NXT is starting to look pretty strong again. So that's it for today's show. Thank you very much for listening. Please do remember to give us a follow on Twitter. We are at the Pinfall Pod. Please give us a subscribe as well. Please tell your friends about us. We want to keep growing this podcast, grow our wrestling community. And we will be back with a TLC review, followed by the award show at the end of the year. Thank you very much for listening. Stay safe. That's the Pinfall. Ring the bell.